at least as a female too, makes you much more vocal, you know, in certain situations where you might not, sometimes it's hard to find your voice, I think, as a female, because you're constantly being groomed that you have to be polite and you have to be this and you have to be that. And then it kind of forces you to really stand up for yourself and say what you like and what you don't like, which I do think has been a good thing for me.
Welcome to Normalizing Non-Monogamy, the podcast where we interview incredible people from across the entire spectrum of non-monogamy to hear their fascinating stories. We strive to bring guests on the show who have a healthy approach to non-monogamy. However, it's important to remember that everyone does it a little bit differently, and the views and opinions expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect our own.
Additionally, we produce this show for entertainment purposes only. Please be aware that we aren't doctors or therapists. Consult a medical professional for anything regarding your health that you might learn about on the show. Enjoy!
Welcome to episode 109. We're Finn and Emma, and today we are talking with Sarah and Ed. We have an amazing conversation with them, and this is an especially good one if you're new.
Yeah, they have probably one of the most relaxed attitudes towards swinging, where they just approach it in a really casual way. And I think it's really great for people who are maybe getting into this or just learning about non-monogamy, that think that if you're doing it, you have to be doing it like all day, every day. And they definitely dispel that myth amongst others.
Yep.
The other thing I wanted to say, and I mentioned it last week when we talked to Daniel, is that you will find here that Ed and I we like to conserve our emotions. Maybe the best way to say it is that we both have a huge passion for life, but we're afraid if we like crack the jar a little, it's going to just like blow up and nobody will be able to handle it. So we try to keep it dialed back for the listener's sake. A
little bit monotone?
No, I just explained to you what the situation is. We're trying to spare the listeners.
I see.
The overwhelming emotion that we are.
But what if they want the emotion? What if we all want the emotion?
They couldn't handle it.
Okay.
They can buy one of Ed and I's shirts that we're making.
Now all the listeners know what I deal with all the time.
Yeah. You are a lucky woman. All right. Well, thank you again to Sarah and Ed for everything. And it's super fun conversation. And yeah, we're excited to be able to share it.
Yeah, for sure. A couple of quick announcements. First off, our next Patreon Q&A call will be on February 26th. That's a Wednesday. If you want more information, go to our website and click on the Patreon link, and you can find more info there.
Yep, there will be two of them at 9 o'clock Eastern and at 9 o'clock Pacific time.
Yep.
Next up, it's National Condom Month.
It is.
And we've got an awesome offer from My One Condoms, who makes custom fit condoms. They've got 60 different sizes. We just ordered some last week, a refill, if you will. We've been using them for over a year now. Ordered them, and they showed up 3 days later, free shipping. And
Super fast.
And we got 20% off because we use the offer code
NNM Podcast.
NNM. That's two N's and then the letter M. Yes. And then the word podcast. And there will be links in the show notes to where you can find that. And please check them out, and please use the offer code because it lets them know we sent you.
Yeah, and the 20% off is good through March 15th of this year.
All right. With that, maybe one last quick thing. Sorry, everybody.
One last quick thing.
We're almost done for real.
You may have noticed that we have a new Focus Fridays series, and our first official episode published last Friday, and our next one will be out this Friday. So we hope everyone's enjoying those so far. The one this Friday is about intentional conversations, and we have that conversation with Catherine.
Intentionally?
Yes.
It wasn't an accident.
But you should definitely check it out. If you want to check it out ahead of time, along with all of the other, there's 10 total. You can go to our website, click on the courses tab, and download them all right now for free, or you can also donate to the show.
And the website for that is normalizingnonmonogamy.com. While you're there, you'll also find a resources page where you'll get all of the information about the different things that we love and use daily, like My One Condoms, which you can get 20% off if you use the offer code NNM Podcast.
True.
They'll fit you perfect, like a condom.
Once you measure yourself.
You've got to measure yourself or have somebody measure for you.
Yep.
But I think you'll figure that part out.
Okay, let's go talk to Sarah and Ed. No, welcome, Sarah and Ed. We're super excited to have you here. And we met you at Desire last year. I guess we met in person a year ago. So it's exciting to chat again. I can't believe it's been a year. It feels like yesterday.
Over a year. Yeah.
Thanks for having us. Yeah. It was surprising that it's been that long already.
Yeah.
Time flies, I suppose. I think we all still look all right, though.
So because listeners don't really know who you are, do you mind introducing each of yourselves? Like a little bit about who you are and
why are you here?
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
Why are you here? Well, I guess we met you guys last year at Desire, and we actually bumped into you guys at the pool because we were there doing a boudoir photography workshop for the resort. And you guys ended up being one of our first classes, which we do appreciate. And so we were there. We do marketing with the resort, and then we also are huge fans of the resort. So I ended up doing some ambassadorship for the resort, and then Ed here does photography on the side. So we ended up doing a lot of marketing with them.
Very cool.
And yeah, by the way, that photo shoot was a lot of fun. We actually came across the pictures on his phone the other day. It brought back fun memories.
Yeah, it was a fun class. Well, and I guess maybe some background then on what makes you qualified, both of you guys, for that type of thing, right? Because Ed, you do some of the photography, but Sarah, you do some modeling as well.
Yeah.
Well, Sarah started off, she was a Playboy model, and I went to some of her photo shoots with her and was just interested watching the photographers and enjoy seeing the pictures. And I thought that would be great if I would be able to photograph her myself. So it took a lot of time, kind of taught myself, asked a lot of questions, and then wound up getting to where the work should be at. And then it just came on where we decided it would be fun to make it a partnership where we work together on things.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah.
I was saying, how long have you both been together?
We're together 16 years.
Awesome. And so besides just going to Desire to do the workshops, you two are exploring the swinging lifestyle in some capacity yourselves, correct?
We are. We were introduced to it slowly. Well, I guess not slowly. We were introduced to it when we started working with Desire, and the first time we went, a lot of guests were asking us if we were lifestyle. We had no idea what that meant.
So Desire came. So that came as like a modeling thing, and that's what introduced you.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Because we were asked to come and do some work for Pearl when it first opened, and then we were being asked by the guests if we were lifestyle. We had no idea what to say. It was kind of an awkward thing in the beginning.
She would just look at me, and I'm like, I have no idea. And then there was this older female from England, and she goes, "You guys kind of look like deer in the headlights." So she kind of pulled us off to the side, and she kind of gave us an introduction of everything of, these are what the terms mean. This is who has control. This is who makes the decisions. You're not obligated to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
While you're here, you don't have to do anything at all. You can just enjoy a normal vacation. But if people ask, these are the different terminologies. So that was kind of our Swinging for Dummies 101 session.
Yeah, your crash course.
So when you were going to Desire, you knew it was a clothing optional place, but that's about all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really all we knew. We didn't know what else to expect. So
wow. And so after she took you aside, did you have to retreat to the room and like talk about what you just learned?
No, I think we were like, okay. And then kind of thought the concept was a little foreign, or just didn't make sense to us, because I guess we weren't at that stage yet. So it's just like, all right, if that floats your boat and makes you happy, that's great. But, for us, it kind of was like, well, we just want to be here and sunbathe naked and, have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And had you been together quite a while at this point? So this wasn't early on, was it?
We were together. We were married about 5 years, I think. So we were probably together about 7 years total, I think.
Yeah. So it wasn't like it was, you had a brand new relationship and then jumping into this. You had history and stuff. So it was kind of just something new to maybe introduce and start to figure out.
Well, had either of you ever talked about it with each other? Brought up the concept of other people?
We honestly had no idea. It was just when people were asking us, they're like, I don't know what they're talking about. So that first trip when we kind of got that brief intro. We're kind of just like, okay, but I think both of us were just like, had no interest in it. So we didn't pay any attention. We just enjoyed the rest of the trip. And, that was that.
Yeah. And the atmosphere and kind of just being
everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and how did it progress from there? Like how did it slowly start to like work its way in?
I guess we wound up doing work for the resort. It was pretty much every 6 months we would come down, and there was probably 3 more trips after that. And we were still on that same page where it really didn't, I don't want to say interest us, but I guess maybe we weren't there. And then probably maybe 2.5 years after that first trip, we wound up meeting another couple. They were both in the healthcare field, and they pretty much got there the same day we did. And through that week, spending time and hanging out and having some common interest, towards the end of the vacation, some things started to happen. We talked about it afterwards, and we both liked it. We're on the same page, and that's how things pretty much began.
Yeah. It's exciting. I mean, it's just fun that you were going to a resort where people were basically having sex around you for like weeks at a time, right? Like a week here, a week there, a week. And it didn't like register like, oh, these people didn't necessarily come together. I don't know. It's just kind of a unique place.
Oh, it sounds like after the first trip they knew.
It's kind of like a fun, like, I don't know. I think it would just blow people's mind.
Kind of like, oh, wow, everyone's kind of naked. So that took us a little bit to get used to. Then after that, it's like, okay, this is fun. Like if you kept your swimsuit on, you kind of were like the odd man out. So you kind of blended in better if you just, took everything off. And then we're okay.
Yeah.
And probably like maybe second or third day, we would see a couple together. Then later in the afternoon, we'd kind of see them with other people. I'm like,
and then we started to get confused. It's like, wait a second. I thought, and then you almost start to question yourself,
Yeah, you're like, wait, I thought that couple was together, and then now they're different people, and now I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
So after that first trip where you guys started to, I guess, dip your toes into it, how did it progress from there, or how has it progressed?
I guess basically after that trip was over, we talked about it, enjoyed the experience, and had a good time. But we kind of didn't make it like this has to be part of our agenda, or if we have time off, this has to happen. Yeah. We kind of just made it, if the opportunity or situation arises, then we'll just take it for what it's worth and enjoy it. And that's pretty much been our philosophy ever since.
Mm-hmm. Right. So is it more of a vacation thing? Like you do it when you go on vacation, or have you also started then to explore, back when you're in the homeland, so to speak?
There's a couple clubs in our area. So maybe like once a month, once every other month, if our schedules match up, because our schedules tend to be pretty opposite of each other. So a lot of it has to do with timing and getting our schedules where we have like the same days off. Then we'll go. It's pretty much just so she likes to dance and she likes to wear some sexy clothes that if she wore anywhere else probably would get kicked out or get arrested. So we pretty much just go so we can dance. She could wear some sexy clothes, and we just go with that mindset. And if we wind up meeting people when something happens, it's an added bonus. Mm-hmm. And if not, we just enjoyed the night together.
Yeah. It's a good attitude to have. I think a lot of people, especially early on, right, it's like, well, if we're going to go do this, and I guess you see this a lot too with people who have kids, like, well, we got a babysitter, we got to make something happen. And I think that puts on a level of pressure that it makes it really difficult to live up to. And
No, you're right. Yeah. And then too, if you're meeting those people, that can be a little difficult too, because then they're kind of agenda driven and
can't just take it at a natural speed. Right. Yeah. So how have you two seen it, like, since you've started exploring this? I guess it's been quite a few years now. How have you seen it, like, impacting your relationship?
I think it has a great impact because it forces you to communicate. It forces you to talk about all kinds of stuff that you might not otherwise have brought up in a regular setting. Mm-hmm. And forces you to talk about what your fantasies are and like what you're comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with, and kind of, at least as a female too, makes you much more vocal, in certain certain situations where you might not, sometimes it's hard to find your voice, I think, as a female, because you're constantly being groomed that you have to be polite and you have to be this and you have to be that. And then it kind of forces you to really stand up for yourself and say what you like and what you don't like.
Yeah.
Which I do think has been a good thing for me.
Yeah.
And actually, like, just understand to explore what you do and don't like, because sometimes you're just expected, oh, well, you have to like this, or you have to like that. And it's like, no. But sometimes it takes time to figure out.
Yeah. Were there any, as you were having those conversations, were there any of those that like things didn't align? Like one of you was really into something, the other one wasn't, or there was some mismatches and like just some miscues along the way?
I really don't think so, because our philosophy and the way we go about it is we're there to be with each other and to enjoy each other. And if something else happens, it's just a added bonus. We never go out. There's some people, it's almost like a hunt and destroy method. Like they have a day, they're going here or they're going to an event and this has to happen and they have to do this many things or meet this many people. We're probably, our personalities in general are more
very laid back
and laid back. So it's kind of just like we just go with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you run into situations where you kind of want to make something happen, but it's hard to take that next step?
Yeah, because we're both very shy by nature and we're both kind of introverted. So that doesn't exactly make for a good initiation tactic on both of our ends. We're getting better at it, but we're still not the best.
Yeah. No, we can relate to that too.
Like missed opportunities, because then it comes across like we're not interested, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's something that we've struggled with is you don't want to be rude, right? You want to be super polite. And so you don't want to make people feel uncomfortable, but you also want to show interest. And that can be difficult to walk that line.
And I think too, we like to be respectful. Mm-hmm. So just not going to grab someone or approach someone or be like, hey, you want to do this? Because I wouldn't appreciate it if someone did that to her. So I think with us being polite and respectful, I think sometimes people take it like, oh, you're boring or, not interested.
Not interested,
and it's just us being overcautious, trying to be nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, then maybe I have a question for you as introverts and us as introverts. How do you prefer people to approach you? Like, if you don't want somebody to just come up and like be in your face about it. So how, like, what is your like ideal, like somebody approaches you to ask you if you're interested, how do they do that and not make you feel uncomfortable?
I personally would like a conversation first. I mean, I would just like to have an actual conversation. And then honestly, the best way to kind of get me is to make me laugh, so any conversation that's going to get me to laugh or kind of get me to loosen up and really have an intriguing conversation or something, that's probably one of the best things for me. And then maybe work in, hey, we're interested,
Plus too, I think for us, it's more than just the physical attraction, because we have met people that on first glance or appearance are stunning, attractive, and then you start to talk to them and their personality starts to drop their looks way down. And then for lack of better wording, there might be people that you meet that maybe the general public would classify as average, but when you talk to them and their personality shines through, it makes them a 9 or 10. Mm-hmm. So it's not just on the physical, it's more about connecting, same interests, same personalities, same interests. So for us, it's if someone starts talking to us and we feel a connection, that's pretty much what makes us maybe explore with them further than just like, oh, this one looks pretty or that guy's built or,
Yeah.
Well, it has to be some chemistry there too. And you don't find that it's until you start talking to people. Yeah. And really getting to know people.
Do you ever struggle like going to the club or maybe like a hotel party, right? Where it's like, okay, we've got 3 hours to find somebody, make that connection happen, determine if there's chemistry. And then like that's a really fast timeline to do everything that we've just kind of covered.
Probably not, because I think if we were judged on lifestyle people, we'd probably get a failing grade, because when we go, it's not like, okay, we have this many hours and we work with that agenda.
Yeah.
We just go to have fun with each other. And if someone starts talking to us, then it's like, okay. And if something happens, great. Or if the clock runs out and the party's over, we don't look at it as a missed opportunity. It's just like, okay, well, this wasn't meant to be.
And it's a little bit easier to meet people now that we go kind of to the same few places, though. At least we know people no matter what. Where it was in the beginning where you didn't know anybody. So that was really hard because you don't even have friends to talk to.
Yeah.
You're really kind of out in the middle of the ocean, like, okay, how are we going to do this?
Yeah, you almost feel like kind of back to the deer in the headlights. Like you're just like, I don't know how to integrate into this.
So it can be easier once you have friends and other people can see you interacting with people and they're like, oh, they actually look like they're fun. And then I think it makes us more approachable then too, and vice versa.
Yeah. That's great advice. I think that, and that's something we've struggled with at times where you go, maybe you go once every 3 or 4 or 5 months to an event, and you don't want to tell people they have to go every month or every week, but it is a good way to start to build that rapport. And then even if you're like chatting with one other couple that you've met before, and it allows you to relax enough that you're laughing, and that makes you way more approachable than if you're just like sitting there kind of like nervously in the corner. That makes it really hard to approach as well.
Yeah.
Well, and you almost, like, when you go to someplace for the first time and you're new, you do have to take that extra effort to go up and start talking to people so that you are more approachable too. And we've had instances where, sometimes that works better than others, but in general, I mean, just trying to talk to people. Some people just don't want to talk to you, and that's okay. But in general, people are very friendly and will at least say hi, and you can have a conversation and start relaxing a little bit.
Yeah, I think out of any kind of social, I guess, gathering, I would think lifestyle people are probably the easiest to talk to.
Yeah.
Because they are there to make connections and they are there to talk to people. So it is a little bit more of a, I guess, open atmosphere as far as talking to people and meeting new people.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're more receptive to conversation.
Yeah. No, we would agree with that too. It's much easier to break into that scene a little bit. Do you find that going to Desire for a week is easier, like you get to know people over that time frame, easier than going to a club for one night?
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's so much easier. Because then you get to spend multiple hours with people, whether you're just kind of hanging out in the pool or, and then you get to see them all throughout the day. And then you also get to see how their relationship is with each other.
Yeah.
You can really easily pick up if something's off. I think it's easier in like that kind of atmosphere. And obviously over that many hours of time, you can observe people throughout the day. So,
well, it's just it's relaxed, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The whole point is to go there and relax, right? And you can go to a meal with somebody, go meet them for breakfast or something, and just like have conversations that you wouldn't have at the nightclub or like in that short time frame.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, where there's an event where it's like maybe 3 or 4 hours, like that's all the time we have. Or there, if you're there for a week, you got how much time to work with.
Yeah.
No, exactly. Yeah, I wasn't trying to imply that every time you go to the club you have to like score one. It was just like that's a tough timeline. I mean, and it's something
it can be a lot of pressure. That's all it is. Yeah.
And it's something we've struggled with as fellow introverts. So I have another introvert specific question. Not really, but it's kind of specific to, like, we've heard and we've struggled with, like, how do you let people know that you're not interested? Like, if somebody's clearly pursuing you, do you do like the avoid tactic, or are you just upfront about it? Like, what's your technique for letting people know?
It's hard.
It depends on how dense they're being.
Yeah, I think initially we just try to diminish the conversation, and if they're talking, don't really feed into it. And if that really doesn't give them the hint, then usually I'll just be like, hey, thanks for coming over and talking, but we just came here to spend time with each other. And then don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but it also puts in a way that, like, oh, okay, like, then they go on their merry way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
that's a good way to handle it. Cause at least, I don't know, it's hard. Like not everyone is everyone's cup of tea, right? That's okay. And it's just hard. The rejection can be difficult.
Well, but I also think that the natural introvert in us, like sometimes those conversations get quiet and anyway, even if you are interested. So that's where we kind of struggle is like, well, we're interested in these people, but like, I don't know, sometimes the conversation just has like some natural ebb and flow to it, which is tough or can be tough.
Yeah, that can be awkward, especially if you don't really know the people. Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone's kind of nervous. They're kind of like each searching for the next thing to say.
Yeah.
And you're ultimately just standing there like nodding together. Like, I think you just got to embrace it at that point and be like, well, this is awkward.
Yeah. How about, have you guys been out to anybody in your life about exploring non-monogamy?
Nope.
No.
Is it something you would consider or not really?
Well, our social circle is very, very small.
And we kind of consider that like that's our private life. And I don't know, because most people who aren't in the lifestyle, they're not at work and are like, oh, last night I did such and such with my wife. You know, so we take it as, the same thing. Like, that's our private thing. People don't really, need to know about it.
And I guess when you go to Desire, it's just work, right? Like you can kind of, do people ask where you go or anything about that?
No, not really. I mean, our family knows we go to a clothing optional place, but they kind of just mind their own business and don't really ask any questions. It's just like, oh, okay, you guys want to be naked, cool, have fun.
Right.
That's all they really say,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I guess it's interesting to me because, right, Sarah, having done the modeling, I mean, I guess I don't know for sure, but are your parents and family aware, right, that you've posed nude and done some nude modeling, right? So
yeah, they are. Yeah.
And I guess
we've told my mom everything. My dad knows enough not to ask any questions. He's just like, okay, whatever. That's kind of how it's been. Yeah. Because I mean, even before I posed for Playboy, I sat my mom down. I told her, I'm like, what should I do? And she said, you do whatever you want. It's your life.
Right.
Yeah.
But this would be kind of a different level of like, they don't need, right. Yeah. That's the whole, they don't need to know it's our sex life. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't expect to know anything about my parents' sex life.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope it's healthy, but otherwise,
Yeah.
No, that's fair. I wouldn't either. And it's nice, I don't know, with the Desire that you can just say, oh, it's a clothing optional place. Like, okay, enough questions. If they want to know more, they can ask more and I will tell them. But yeah, I
think if someone's not involved or hasn't been exposed to it, they come up with this preconceived notion that you're some sort of freak, or like every spare moment that you're in the grocery store trying to get the checkout girl, or at the gas station trying to get the attendant, or that you're just this sex driven fiend and that's all you do. Like they don't really understand like the whole concept of everything.
Yeah, there's immediately like a negative connotation that's applied to it, and it's almost like I'm not here to advocate for it or try to expect anybody else to understand it or explain it. So it's better just to kind of not really address it,
Yeah, no, for sure. And I guess like, if you don't mind circling back, Sarah, you talked a little bit about like it being really good for you as a woman, like being able to maybe build some of that confidence and like finding what you're interested in. I guess, do you mind talking a little more about that? Because I think maybe people would hear that and say, oh, well, she's super confident. She does modeling. She's done this and this and this, right? Like, I think that's maybe something else that would be interesting to hear a little more about, because it's not something we hear about often.
No, I mean, I kind of feel like that's two different things. That's, especially the modeling thing, that's almost like a two-dimensional, it's just something I do, and it's something I learned certain angles that look good, and I learned how to do my makeup, and I learned how to do my hair and that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a skill as far as that, but that's not my personality. I'm not projecting me as a person.
Right.
So where this is much more, I think, how would you put that? Like, I feel like there's,
personal.
Yeah, it's much more personal, and it's much more vulnerable than just kind of posing in lingerie or a bikini or something, I mean, I know that can sound like you need confidence to do that, which I guess to a certain extent, yeah, but, it's only because I learned how to do it.
Well, and there's a barrier, right? There's a, like with the photography and stuff and the modeling, there's a barrier. You're posting things, but it's not going up necessarily and having those conversations, deep, intimate conversations with people.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I think too, you had said modeling is more like just playing a role for the day.
Oh, yeah,
whereas definitely. Compared to this, it's actual you, the person, and it's your personality. So it's like two completely different things.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. How have you, how have you seen each other grow? Maybe like, Sarah, what are some ways you've seen Ed grow and change, and then vice versa, Ed for Sarah over the last, couple of years of doing this?
I think, years and years and years ago when we first got together, I think, we were both much younger, and I think both a little bit more hot-headed and more inclined to be jealous or something like that. And I think we've grown into that we're so comfortable with each other and we're so stable in our relationship that there is no jealousy anymore. It's just, we want each other to have a good time. And we want each other to, grow and have a great time. And there's really no barriers as far as insecurities or anything like that, which I think has really helped us.
I think as far as you, your confidence has grown. I know people probably look at it, well, you must have a lot of confidence because you're modeling. But like I said, that's more of just a role. You were always kind of shy about if we would go out to eat or go to the casino wearing something that was sexy. Not saying that it would be revealing or, you get in trouble for wearing it, but you're always afraid of what would people say or what would people think, or, am I showing too much leg? And I think, with this, you developed into, I like how I look. I'm confident with what I have on. There's nothing the matter with it. And I think in that aspect, definitely you have grown.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome to hear. And it's great to hear that we're all just people, right? We all have our insecurities and our little internal monologue that kind of rules us on a day-to-day basis.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
How about handling, sexual safety? And how have you navigated those conversations with others or with each other and opening up your relationship? Because that's something that a lot of people have concerns about and is brought up early on when they start talking about seeing other people.
I don't think we've really had any issues. Right?
No, there really hasn't been any issues about anyone pushing barriers or limits or, being aggressive. I think we both can read people fairly well. So if there was someone that was kind of displaying tendencies that we wouldn't be kosher with or seemed like it could get out of hand, we kind of steered clear from them and didn't make ourselves, vulnerable for anything to, even happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we don't necessarily have a safe word or anything like that, but I think we both can read each other really well too, where we know immediately if the other person's kind of uncomfortable, and then we can kind of just diplomatically get out of there. Mm-hmm.
Was the health aspect a concern when you started having those conversations? Was that one of the things that was an issue at all?
I think, like we discussed, if anything was going to happen, protection stuff had to be used. Mm-hmm. And, we both have, both work in the medical field. So for us, it's kind of like we know the consequences of, not being cautious. So it really wasn't like we had to sit down and, have a big conversation. It was just kind of like a given.
Yeah. Yeah. And I imagine you still went over what is each of your accepted level of risk for this if you're going to start exploring it.
Yeah.
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 I have another question for Sarah. So as thinking about being a woman in navigating non-monogamy, it can be hard sometimes because in particular, I know it can happen in the roles reversed for genders as well, but sometimes men can come on very strong. And do you find like are you open and upfront like with your modeling and everything? And has that impacted like how people approach you and react?
Oh yeah, we don't really bring it up.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
because that's something that I would be hesitant to, just because I know how people can kind of react to that.
Yeah, because we had one instance where a couple, I think they found out inadvertently by mutual friends or something, and then it became kind of this bragging right on his end, which I really did not appreciate. That, I mean, I got pretty hot-headed over that, which I thought I felt like it cheapened me as a person. Then.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
that's what I would hate to have that happen. So that's what I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, so we really never bring it up.
At Desires, it's kind of hard because we do work for the resort and they see us in advertisements, so people kind of know there. But outside of that venue, we don't bring it up because just like how we were discussing, if you told someone that wasn't in the lifestyle that you're in it, they get those preconceived notions. So if you would tell someone that is in lifestyle that I did modeling or I posed for Playboy, did this, then they kind of think like, oh, they start getting these notions where they think maybe it would be easy or you're going to get naked. So we rather just have it where that's just a separate entity. Mm-hmm. And if we're out hanging out, judge us for the interactions we're having at that current time with you. And if there's a connection, we click great. And if there isn't, that's fine, too.
Yeah. Well, and you're assuming Ed doesn't get objectified.
That's true. I shouldn't assume. And I did say it could be gender reverse as well.
I think he gets objective. Ed, how do you handle this on your end?
I think because I'm quiet, I've had a lot of people tell me that I look mean.
He's very intimidating. If you don't know him, he's kind of very...
And I don't mean to come off that way, but because of my quiet nature, it's perceived that way. So I really don't have issues with, people coming up to me or after me. So I don't know if that's a thing or not.
You're not objectified because they're too scared?
Yeah, maybe I don't know. I guess that's your own tactic, another tactic, right? I guess if you're perceived to be intimidating, it may not be a good thing, but it also may be a little bit of a filter for you.
Probably something I have to work at a little bit.
Oh, boy.
No, I think it's a real thing though, right? Because there could be people that you're very interested in that perceive you as being disinterested or grumpy or angry or whatever. And you're like, no, I'm just being me, right? And that I think that's something that we've had issues with in the past, right?
Part of being shy. Push yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit more, at least to say it, to have conversations that you may not, and not be as shy and reserved all the time.
I think going to Desires personally has helped me because we made some friends that tend to go the exact same weeks we go.
Yeah.
So going frequently as we do, we see them, and it helps me feel more comfortable because there's familiar faces, and I can come, especially this last trip we were just on in November. There's a handful of people that this is probably our third or fourth time that our weeks overlap. So for me, probably like my natural state was able to come out because there was people I was comfortable with and I was able to laugh and joke. So if there was strangers that came over and talked, I was already kind of in my comfort zone. So it made it a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it makes sense. I think we're the same way, right? Like,
oh yeah,
we're fun people, Ed. I don't know why people don't give us the damn credit that we deserve.
Maybe we should get T-shirts.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm fun with like the angry emoji.
Like, don't worry, I'm fun.
All right, I'll get that shirt printed. So I'm also curious, like when you, and I know this is like way back to the beginning of the story, when you,
why not?
Why not? We can do whatever we want. When you started, like, has the way that this looks for you to changed over the years? Like, did you go through the quote unquote normal progression of like no kissing rule and then soft swap, full swap, and all of the standard, I guess, how has it
It's not
changed?
always standard.
That's why I said like the quote unquote normal progression.
I don't think it's normal. Anyway, go ahead.
I think probably that first experience we had when we met that couple, and we hung out with them and things started to progress a little bit. We talked about what each of our comfort levels were and how we would feel if it went to second level, third level, and, so on. And I think having the communication beforehand was definitely helpful, because then it wasn't stressing, worrying, well, oh my God, if this happens, is this okay or not okay? So I think the communication part was definitely key. And then, like I said, for both of us, it was just kind of, we're not like one of those hardcore people that have our schedule like this is going to happen or this. It's just kind of like, just enjoy what life brings. And if situations arise, hey, that's great. If not, we're still with each other having a great time. So I think our philosophy and how we approach it with our personalities is fitting for us. Now, maybe for other people, that's not their cup of tea, but I think with our laid back attitude towards it and always putting each other first, I think for us is the key.
I mean, I think in the beginning I definitely do remember there being a no kissing rule, which I think eventually you just kind of grow out of that. And I think that's kind of how you progress in it anyway. You set up these little boundaries. And then once you kind of realize that you're hitting the boundaries, then you kind of reassess and see where you go from there and see how the other person responds to it. And it's almost like there's these little like, I don't know, like boundaries or like speed bumps or something that are almost meant to be.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, you hit those boundaries and then you're like, well, we've gone this far and it's been okay. I think I'd be okay going beyond that one, right? And then you release that one and you go to the next one, right? And and there are some people who just right out of the gate, they're like, hey, yeah, no holds barred, and that may work for them, right?
Well, some people are more natural to take those baby steps, and then other people are not.
For sure.
Well, for us, it was kind of like a cold pull. You put your toe in, it's okay. You work your way up, hit your belly, you're like, okay, and you just kind of keep easing your way till you're finally in, and you're like, okay, I'm comfortable. It's
rather than just jumping into the pool.
Actually, before you get to the belly, there's another significant step that usually takes a while for me to get past.
Do the two of you think, so it sounds like to this date, I guess you've mostly explored kind of the swinging side of things. Do you think you'd ever go into more having deeper relationships with other people, kind of along the poly route at all? Or does that not interest you?
No, it doesn't interest us.
I don't think either one of us have any interest in that.
Yeah.
I have a hard time communicating with people, like with texting and phone conversations, and we really don't have a lot of spare time outside of each other and our jobs. So I don't want to take on anything that would take away from you.
And not to judge people that do it. Like, there's a lid for every pot, and whatever makes each person happy, that's their right. But for us, we look at it as our relationship is me and you, and the poly thing, and our minds and our look at it as, well, we're married, we're with each other, really don't want to be, committed to another person because we're committed, to each other. And I feel that both of us fulfill each other completely. So our look at it is, if anything happens, okay, that's a bonus, but we're not looking for anything. No, we do have friends that we met in a lifestyle that we haven't done anything with, but they're like our best friends. You can call them up in the middle of the night and they would be there for us. And I think the friendships that you do make in this, I think, are stronger than friends that you make in normal, regular life.
Yeah, I think because you can you don't ever have to be guarded, right? You can talk about the things that you don't.
Exactly. Yeah,
you get to to be intimate with each other, even just conversationally, right at the beginning.
Yeah, even if it doesn't turn sexual.
Yeah. Do you think you'd ever stop, I guess, going, being non-monogamous and going down that route?
I mean, I don't know. I think it kind of depends on what's going on in our lives and stuff.
Because it's not like we ever have like a schedule, like we have these days off, or, it's been a while, we're doing this. We're kind of, like I said, kind of just very much go with the flow.
Yeah.
So if, tomorrow we woke up and Sarah's like, I don't want to go anymore, and be like, okay, that's fine. Because our thing is each other first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want to be like, oh, I'm going to throw a temper tantrum. I just have to stop,
Right.
blah, blah, blah.
I mean, I could see why couples sometimes take little breaks too, because it can be not labor intensive, but it just does take a lot of energy sometimes if you're going to a club and you have to
It does.
come online and, try to see who's going to be there. And sometimes it can be a little bit of an undertaking, but.
And sometimes life just gets in the way.
Time to put yourself out there and takes work, where sometimes where if we just have free time, it's just nice just to go to dinner and relax being with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you have a hectic schedule, like most people do, it's even tougher.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask the blooper question.
I knew that was coming.
Have either of you had any hilarious mishaps that you're willing to share with us? Or maybe both of you?
You're, no offense, usually the clumsy or klutzy.
Oh, I'm
between
horrible.
us, and I haven't really thought of anything like where you fell off anything or anything crazy has happened.
Oh, no. Remember when I hit my head at Desire?
Oh, yeah.
That was.
She's like, I don't, but I've been told that's what happened.
Oh, no. It was our last day. I think this isn't. I mean, we just happened to be at Desire, and we're at Pearl, and there's the pool, there's the bar, and then there's this overhang, right? And it's like plaster, it's heavy, it's huge. And I was getting out of like the little circular pool on the side, and I'm short. So I go to stand up thinking I'm going to miss this thing. I full on stand up, whack my head so hard that I lost my balance and almost fell into the pool. And of course, all of our friends saw it.
Jeez.
So that was a little embarrassing. I can't think of anything like actual, like,
lifestyle related.
Yeah. No. Man, there's got to be something. We're going to think of something like as soon as we hang up.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that does make us sound really lame.
Well, you've got a mission now for 2020. Create bloopers.
It's actually probably a good thing. That means that you haven't had too many missteps. Although, I mean, bloopers are just usually hilarious things.
Maybe your vibrating suitcase.
Oh, Jesus Christ. We were going to Mexico, and I had like sex toys and everything in the checked luggage. And we were getting right how like you get your luggage, you're going through customs, and then you're about to hit the button, right?
The green light, red light. Yep.
Ready to hit the green light, red light.
Oh, when you land in Cancun. Yeah.
So I get this look on my face like I want to throw up, and he looks at me and he says, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No." And he goes, "What's happening?" I said, "Well, touch my handle," and my handle was vibrating because when something comes on in the suitcase. Oh my God. I don't think it got searched though, did it?
No, you lucked out on.
Oh, I'm like, I'm going to get arrested or something. They're going to think something's in here.
Yeah, because the whole handle was rocking pretty bad.
So anymore, I learned flip the batteries around and let things go dead and then just charge them there.
Yeah, I think it was like on level 10 or something like that.
Oh, it was going nuts. Yeah. Uh-huh. I'm going to get arrested.
I'm sure it's not the first time that they would have seen that.
No.
Part of I've heard people put all their stuff right on top in case their suitcase does get checked. Yeah. That they just, they're like, oh, and then they.
It's a good way to smuggle drugs. You put all the dildos on top and all the cocaine underneath it.
Don't give anyone any ideas. We had some friends once that got searched for their what was it? Enjoy
11.
Yeah,
it's basically a stainless steel club.
And so the TSA agent took it out of the suitcase, held it up, what is this? In the airport.
Oh my God. Oh.
People.
Yeah.
I'm going to really quick tell my pool story from Desire last year, 2018, when it was the first 5 minutes we were there, remember? And I went to be all cool and pop into the pool. And I went to put my, put one hand down and then use that to kind of flip your legs in. Well, yeah. I missed with my hand somehow, even though I hadn't even been drinking. So I just
we had been there for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, this was literally hey, everybody, we're back at Desire. And I went to put my hand on the edge of the pool, slipped off, and then just tumbled into the pool.
He just completely face planted into the pool.
And I'm well, I'm here. So that's how I do it. I didn't have to hit my head to do it, but
it was a grand entrance.
So, all right. Well, any final parting words that you want to leave people before we let you get along with your wintry day?
I started a group on Facebook for women that are interested in desire and clothing optional vacationing and lifestyling and things like that. And it's a little over a year old. I think it's about 500 and some women now.
Oh, awesome.
But it's been really, really fun for anybody that's new to it. And then fun also for women that have been experienced in it and help other women get comfortable and ask all kinds of questions that you wouldn't be able to ask otherwise if you were thinking of going to someplace like this. So that's on Facebook, and it's called Ladies Love Desire. And it's the private group. So everybody, the only way to get added is to be added by a member.
Okay.
And it only exists for the members. So if any listeners want to reach out and want to be added to that, they can just look me up on Facebook at Sarah Clayton, and then I can get them added to it.
Okay. And we'll put links to your profile there.
Thank you.
I am curious though, and I know not to like dive back into this and to focus on the modeling thing, but do you like in doing that, like women's group, do you find people who are like, oh, well, I can't be into this because I'm not a model. Like I have to be a perfect bodied person to be able to go to Desire or to be able to do the lifestyle. Like, is that something that you've come across?
That's one of the big misconceptions that I think I've noticed in women that are in this group, because they think, oh my gosh, I don't look a certain way, I'm going to be so uncomfortable. And then you hear from everybody else, no, it's not like that at all. Right. It's all shapes and sizes, and everybody's so welcoming and so sweet and really supportive and really fun to be around. That the one woman actually went for the first time, and she came back and she had put a post in the group saying, I was so shocked how little of an issue being nude was. Like that was the last thing on her mind after about like 2 hours of being there, since they were having so much fun.
Yeah. Well, and you know what you guys talked about earlier, which is that it's more about the personality and the conversation, and that somebody who would be, you know, not stereotypically, but like society would say there may be not a 10, right? You can get to a 9 or a 10 by having a killer personality.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I would much rather spend time with someone that's fun to be around than someone that looks good.
I think the biggest thing too is just being true to yourself and true to your partner. I think there's a lot of preconceived notions. If you're a guy, you have to have 6-pack abs and be built. And if you're a woman, you have to be this size, this shape, and boobs have to look like this. I think that's one big notion that really intimidates people. And I feel bad because you don't have to look a certain way. You know, I think to just be yourself and be comfortable with yourself is key. And then I think the other part that sometimes scares people is they'll go on certain websites or listen to certain podcasts, and they'll hear how certain people are really aggressive, and they think that when they get into this, they have to have an agenda to, you know, have this many hookups or do this many things. The whole thing is just being comfortable with yourself and what's best for you and your partner. There's no right or wrong answer. You don't have to be the professional swinger that every time you go out, something happens. You could be the person that just wants to go on vacation and be nude. You could be the person that, you know, only does things on vacation. You could be the person that maybe is that professional swinger, for lack of a better term, but just do what's comfortable for you and best for your relationship, and don't try to live up to some certain standard or try to fit into some certain group.
Yeah. No, that's very well said.
Yeah, it's perfect, because I think you're going to be much more authentic if you're just yourself, right? Just by nature, right? By definition. I just very redundant there. So you're welcome, listeners, for that. And maybe, I mean, unless you guys have something else that you want to share, that's maybe a good place to leave it. Some wise words from Ed.
Do you have any wise words?
That's it.
That's it.
I kind of think, you know what, you live once, and might as well try to make the best out of your life and your relationship, and because you're going to be 85 before you know it and probably not be able to do much. So I think
just being comfortable with who you are. When you're in your 30s, you always say, oh, I wish I looked like this when I was 20s. When you're in your 40s, you wish how you looked like you were in your 30s. Just get the notions out of your head. Just be whatever build you are or however you're made. Just embrace it and enjoy it. Life's too short to being, hung up on society's preconceived notions.
Yep.
Awesome.
No, exactly.
Well, thank you both for taking some time out of your day to talk with us and for shedding some light on the introvert world.
Yeah. And being shy.
And we're going to get shirts made with trust me, I'm fun. Or
trust me, I'm fun, period.
Yeah, exactly. Not exclamation mark. Just...
Contents contain fun.
Yeah, contents contain fun. Awesome. Well, again, thank you both and have a wonderful day. And maybe we'll see you at Desire sometime.
Thank you. I hope we do.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you. And we're back.
Hey, nice job keeping that intro under 5 minutes.
We did pretty good. We got through a lot of stuff.
We talked fast, said lots of things, and here we are in the outro.
Thanks to Sarah and Ed for coming on the show. We talked about we're all pretty introverted, and I know it was a little bit new for them to come on the show. So we're excited.
Yeah, but they rocked it.
They totally rocked it. Yeah. And we were so excited that they were willing and wanting to do it. So.
And we got a new t-shirt idea out of it.
That's true.
All right. Well, more to come on that. And
what, the t-shirts?
The t-shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, thank you, Sarah and Ed. One thing that we did want to mention to everybody that we love to promote is the discount code. You can get $10 off at stdcheck.com. If you use the links in the show notes or in the resources page, that link will take you straight there. And it's really our best and favorite way to get tested for STIs.
And it supports the show if you use our links too.
It does, and we greatly appreciate it. So
yes.
Thank you for that. Next week, what do we got? Who do we got?
First off, we have an episode this coming Friday, so stay tuned and check that out. And next Wednesday, we have our regular scheduled interview with
regular programming.
Yeah, with Maria and Jory.
Yes.
And we met them at Desire, and they have an amazing story.
They have a long story.
Yes.
Jory especially. I think he's been doing it almost, well, I don't want to ruin it for people.
No, come back in a week, and we'll see you then.
Yes, we will. Have a good weekend.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening.